Hello and welcome to another episode of African Couch Potato, the mashup. I'm your host, Gino Shelile, and today we are joined by Kari Sekati.
Kari. Yes.
Not Kari.
Not
Sekati,
no.
who will be chatting to us about wardrobe and styling in the world of TV and film production. How are you?
Well, thanks, and yourself.
We met 2 years ago.
Yep.
On set.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I got your numbers?
No, I still don't know.
I remember I owed you money. And you were trying to get your money.
And I was chasing him.
Yeah, so you were hunting. That's how I got your numbers. And you've been best friends ever since. Is that right? Because I paid you. Yeah. And now I learned to pay people quickly.
Thank God.
Because of that lesson.
It worked out for the better.
You made me a better person. So how difficult is it getting clients to pay in your profession?
Oh, goodness. Look, in our space, most production companies, they get it right. And I think I haven't had like the biggest issue. But look, as with any industry, there's always the few that just go left. And yeah, it does become very difficult because we really don't have like representatives or a board or legal where we can always like chase and say, yo, I'm dealing with this situation right now and I'm struggling to get payments. And it's happening a lot often now, which is kind of sad because I feel like people just don't sometimes value our job as much. But yeah, I mean, it's had its fair share. I've had my fair share of difficult times, but somehow, some way, they've always pulled through because I'm a fighter and I've learned that I need to fight for what I'm worth. And yeah.
Yeah. So you co-founded Stage Fabrics, which deals with wardrobe and styling.
Yes.
What's the difference between wardrobe and styling?
Wardrobe and personal styling is like different.
Yeah.
Wardrobe is obviously you get a brief from client and you obviously work in the film and TV industries, and that's mainly just you have to work around the brief, whereas personal styling is very direct to an individual and it's a lot more in-depth, and you basically try and hone what that person's style is and try and just elevate it to suit them more than anything. So, yeah.
And how do now people get a hold of you for them to give you a brief?
You mean like where they can reach me?
Yeah. Is it largely word of mouth? So if I'm looking for wardrobe for a production, how would I know about you?
Yes, definitely word of mouth more than anything. A lot of people have found me through others and people that I've worked with prior, and production companies, etc. have reached out in that route. But also I've got a website and people can reach out to me there on Instagram. I tend to post some of my work on there.
And once we've called you, what constitutes a good brief? Like, do people come to you and say, make me look amazing, or do you need some requirements to at least help them?
Yes. Firstly, be realistic. I can't make you look like Beyonce, yo. Like, you're not overnight. But I can work towards that. And I think a good brief is obviously being very descriptive and like the style that you want to go into and what you expect from me as a stylist. But I'll always have my fashion input and I'll give my advice where I can on what the best direction is, especially if a certain body type doesn't suit what your brief is saying. Sometimes we need to always like speak about those things because some clients tend to want the most amazing things that they firstly don't have a budget for, or they expect the world, and sometimes it's just not realistic. So we try and meet each other halfway somehow.
How do you now stop yourself from bruising egos, right? Let's say I want to wear a tank top and you look at me and I'm like, it's not going to work.
You just need to, you gotta be very like, you gotta be straight and clear to the person, but also at the same time to not bruise their ego. You kind of always give them an alternative that kind of gives off the same feel, but not necessarily that kind of works for them directly, you know? So, yeah, that's the way that I go about it more than anything.
And then once you have the brief, what's the next step?
Okay, so once you have the brief, obviously you need to dig a little deeper, do some research, try and analyze the brief and see the direction in terms of colors. You need to look at the direction in terms of the characters themselves and who they're playing, their personalities. And then after that, you try and look into mood boarding and trying to find like images that you think suit the brief and also just what you think could work for the look itself. And then post that, then you obviously get them to accept what you have presented and you go on and you start sourcing.
Yeah.
So there are different avenues to source. I mean, you can go shop and do returns. You can approach a lot of designers, and some designers tend to give you stuff for free if they feel like it's mutually beneficial for them as well to have that person wearing that or have it in this show. But sometimes, yes, you do pay, a rental price. There are a lot of sourcing houses around town that you can go to. You can go into different places. I mean, we all shop around in different places, but you need to just get down to it and source. And then after that, you do fittings, you see what works, what the client loves, what the client doesn't love. And then you just basically filter everything down after that. Yeah.
With the rentals, how does that work? Do you have a relationship with the store?
Yes. So sometimes you have a relationship with brands or designers and stores or sourcing houses, and it's a lot easier that way. But when you really are new in the game, like it's good to build relationships with them and approach them. You can find them online, go to the stores and speak to them, tell them what you're working on, tell them and explain like exactly what you're trying to achieve and try and sell it to them and try and sell what you're working on and how it's going to benefit them. And maybe you could get a discount or two, you know. But you have a relationship with stores. Sometimes you don't. Then you just have to bite the bullet and buy and hope that the client has the budget for it.
In a worst case scenario, do you buy with your own money and then get reimbursed, or would client have to put down a deposit or pay the whole amount up front and then you do a recon after that?
You see, now this is a big one because I remember when I started, I used to be too excited and I'd end up going and using my own money to actually get these jobs done because maybe I was thinking about time frame and getting it out the way as soon as possible. And it bit me in the butt.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it at all. Rather wait, even though I know time constraints can be very tough in this industry, but you just need to work around it. And they need to pay you and they need to give you a sourcing budget. And from the sourcing budget, that's what you work with in order to source. And if it's lower, then obviously you'll go for lower income or, the cheaper stores. And if you have a nice budget, then you can go crazy and get creative with it. And approach like the more high-end places or designers.
And how do you instill those timelines? Let's say you're waiting outside legit for a client to send you money to go and buy something, and it's like now 6 p.m. It's 5 to 6 and they're closing at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. And I guess that's where you end up like saying, okay, let me just go buy it. Hopefully they'll reimburse me. And it happens so often. As I said, don't recommend, but, sometimes I tend to be very frank with clients or production and I'll tell them like, okay, you guys aren't giving me enough time to get this done. And unfortunately, I could not get what you needed in this time frame. Can I please have maybe a few hours in the next morning or something like that? Or I just find alternatives, I guess. And maybe sometimes I pull stuff from my own cupboard if I need to. But it's tough. It's tough to work around it, especially when you have time constraints like that. Like shops closing, etc. But I don't know, we always figure it out and make a way.
And on the day of the shoot, what fit yesterday maybe might not fit this morning. Do you have a seamstress, or do you now have to tailor
Yes.
it on the spot?
No, I do have seamstresses. I have seamstresses, like I've got a tailor that I recently like found and really, really love. He's good. But before that, I used to just DIY as well because I know how to sew and I went to school for it and everything. But yeah, if it's in the moment and we're on set and something rips, of course, I'm going to either use my hands or use my machine and get it done. But if I've got like a day or two, then yeah, I've got seamstresses to do it in case I'm very busy, you know. So yeah, it's very important to have a seamstress and a tailor because there's nothing worse than an ill-fitting look, especially on camera. So yeah.
And then all of the stress of sourcing the clothes is now out the way. After production, do you sell the clothes? Do you just like expand your own wardrobe with whatever you bought that you like?
Yeah, well, sometimes, well, mostly production obviously keeps the clothing. So I do my returns and for what I can get money back for. And for the stuff that I can't, then I give them to production. Like production will take them. But some people have been very nice enough to let me keep them and just build my own, like, you know, wardrobe space and start renting them out myself sometimes, or I use them for other shoots or other sets if need be. And yeah, I'm actually working on getting like a sourcing house together.
Yeah.
So, because I've definitely built up a lot over the years. Yeah.
Okay, so now, fresh out of matric, your parents want you to be a doctor or something special.
Yeah.
How do you now disappoint them nicely?
Yeah, that's okay. So basically, what you do for me, let me explain my experience. I was in business management firstly, and I studied that, and it was kind of like out. And then eventually, I got into property, and in turn, I ended up giving up property and deciding that I want to pursue fashion because it's always been something I've always wanted to do. And I went to a school called Lysoff and I studied a BA in fashion there. And from there, that's when I got into wardrobe through a few fashion friends. And there was also another friend who was in film, and he just threw us in the deep end and wanted us to get into it. But what I would suggest is definitely, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to go to fashion school to get into the industry. There are other avenues. Yes, it's beneficial because you learn a lot from there and you learn the basics more than anything. But I think also being in fashion spaces and attending events and, you know, meeting people in the space, be it print, be it media, etc., like it's always the best way to get into the fashion space.
Yeah. And then when you now start working for production houses, you said it's a lot of word of mouth, right? How do you now manage because with any business, there's ebb and flow. You are very busy sometimes and you're not busy sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you now manage your finances?
Oh, that's a very tough one because look, I've had days or months where I've gone without any jobs whatsoever. And it happens. Or sometimes the beginning of the year when financial year end has like come close. It's tough. It's very, very tough. Oh my gosh. But I think more than anything, having a second source of income has helped. And I know not a lot of people can do that because, you know, you really are reliant on this passion and you really want to get into it and hope that it breeds like good things and, you know, better finances, etc. But I think the best way to manage your finances when it comes to this is to save a lot. So as soon as you get paid, save as much as you can from that payment because you don't know whether you'll have a job next month or in 2 months from now. And yeah, especially as a freelancer, it's very, very tough, you know. Yeah.
But you've been busy these past 2 weeks because I think I tried getting you 2 weeks ago. Then you got another shoot the week after that.
Yeah.
So your finances are in good standing.
Not yet, but getting there.
Yeah,
we're working on it. Yeah, we're working on it.
What were you working on? Are you at liberty to say?
I was working with Showmax, something for Showmax, and then something from Mzansi.
You can't give us more details.
No.
So it's not out yet. It's still coming out.
Yeah, but it's a commercial and a feature film. So yeah.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer like those 1-day commercial shoots or like something longer?
Yeah, look, I enjoy the experience of long form. But I won't lie. Short form is nice, to the point. You get it done, and you have the liberty to do a lot more with your time. And sometimes long form, there's a lot of personalities, and we're together for like months on months. It does become a little tricky and a little redundant as well. But I'm not mad at either. Like I love experiencing and doing different things. Like even now I've been thinking like I'd love to get into theater. I've never done wardrobe for theater. That's like one avenue I haven't really explored. So it would be nice to just learn and be in a space like that as well, because you can never stop learning about the industry. It's constantly changing.
But with, let's say, for example, something like theater, and this is an assumption, because people are far from the stage, the wardrobe would have to be more flamboyant, more over the top, as opposed to like a magazine shoot where we have cameras that zoom in.
Exactly, and that can make the picture look clear and you can see the garments much clearer. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly why I want to get into it, because it's a whole different aspect of wardrobe. And I think you obviously need to also pay mind to the movement more than anything on stage. And yeah, it's just different. It's just different. And I think with editorial or like magazines and commercials, it's a lot more, what can I say, fun and a lot easier, because you can stop and go. And whereas with theater, they're moving, so you can't just stop them and say, oh, I need to fix that, he just tore his pants, so you need to be on the money. You need to be very, very like detail oriented more than anything when it comes to theater, I think.
Is there a specific kind of theater, like do you want to do musicals or just like a John Gunny type of vibe?
I would like a John Gunny type of vibe, definitely, like something more old school as well, more time, like a capsule time, that would be nice. That would be nice, because I haven't done a lot of those at all. Yeah.
Have you watched Back of the Moon?
No, I actually haven't.
Yeah, you must watch Back of the Moon. It's like the story set during Sapphire Town days. But everything about their setting and their wardrobe is about of those earlier years.
Yeah.
What are some of the most memorable productions that you have worked on?
Oh, I think top one. The best one I worked on was definitely with David Yarrow. He's like this international acclaimed photographer, very good.
With the lion.
Yes, that one. That was incredible.
So what was the brief for that one?
So basically the brief was to have, warriors around these animals, because he's more a nature wildlife photographer. So he tends to put a bit of both, like the wildlife mixed with like human and like, the spaces that you're in and the countries that he visits. And he tries to adapt to the culture and have the culture like show in his photography. And the brief was basically just to, he was like, give me Africa and give me the most like prominent tribes of Africa, and just like have them in the backdrop with the lions. And I just played around with it, and it was extremely fun and probably the best production I've ever done, and totally new experience. And I've never worked with wildlife at all, and it was hard and it was scary, but
was it a real lion?
Yeah, it was a real lion.
That was
real lions, real panther, everything.
Not chained.
Not chained at all.
They just fed them and made sure that they weren't hungry.
Yeah, the lion whisperer was there, so he knows how to talk to his little babies.
Yeah. And now when you, with the models, they were set up behind the lions, or did they do a separate shoot?
So they did one where the line was actually there, but then they also like did a separate shoot
Okay.
where it was just the characters, and then they did one where it's just the lion.
Yeah.
So they differed, but I mean, some of the animals were obviously like not feeling too good, so of course they couldn't risk that because it is high risk. But
Yeah.
it worked out in the end, and it looked amazing. And apparently, we raised quite a lot for charity, which is incredible. So yeah.
And another less riskier shoot that you liked?
Another one. I would say working with Superbalist. I've always wanted to work with them. I've done a couple for them, and that has been my highlight because they really give me creative freedom, and they've always, always, always supported me and called me, and I truly, truly, truly enjoyed the shoots. And I love Superbalist myself. I mean, I'm a client of theirs and I shop there, so it just made sense. Like I just knew it was gonna work out because I know their aesthetic, I know what they want, and it was just an easy connection, you know.
Now that you mentioned the client side, are people ever judgy in terms of how you dress? Because you're tasked with styling people.
Yeah.
And then people come and look at you and they're like,
all the time. It's very hard. A lot of people just assume that because we're stylists, we like always gonna look like
stylish.
top of the par. Like, it's not the case, guys. Sometimes we just ain't got the time to dress ourselves up all the time. And yeah, man, you also get, I think for myself, like I tend to also get a little tired. Like I don't enjoy shopping as much for myself. I just love doing it because now it's kind of like my job. So I have other things that I enjoy doing, you know, but I love dressing up still, but you know, not as often. My everyday wear is just keep it simple, you know.
And your contribution now to the arts, what would you think that is? So how would you summarize that?
Tough question. My contribution is definitely just, I think my biggest one has to be just empowering women. And, you know, because I know how hard it is, especially in this industry, to get in. And I've been through my fair share of struggles. And that's why I am always ever ready to help, like, all the women in the industry, be it trying to get in as a makeup artist or whatever. I'll always be available to help those that are trying to get into the industry. I've always like assisted them in finding jobs in the direction they should go, how they should do their portfolio, and just, you know, what rates should they go for as a starter, etc. And connecting them to productions, because I feel like that's the only way we will grow, is by, you know, sharing all this information between each other and not gatekeeping, you know, the space, because there's room for so many of us. And I know so many creative individuals that have pushed even to get out of like the 9 to 5 and like tap into this, you know, because I can see they've got the talent, and we just always gotta push people to really get into the creative space, because there's so many of us in South Africa like that are doing so amazing and that want to get in but always get stopped because people just want those jobs for themselves. And, you know, you need to help the young ones get into it because sometimes they really don't know. And at school, honestly, we weren't directed entirely like on how to go about getting those jobs or how to get into the industry. It's just one of those things that just happened naturally because we'd always like do stuff together, and then, you know, you post a few things and then somebody sees it and then you get a job, you know. So yeah, I think that's gonna be my biggest contribution more than anything.
How hectic is the gatekeeping?
Oh, it is. It's pretty hectic. It's pretty hectic. But of late, I think because I've grown, like the people that I'm around and the people that I work with, and I've learned and met a lot of amazing humans, it's obviously become a little less, you know, hectic. But I know in the beginning it really was bad. Nobody wanted to share info. Like, you'd feel like you'd have to beg. And yeah, some people just, I guess, I don't know if it's a personality thing, but some people, as I said, just really prefer having fewer people in the industry so they get more of the jobs than anything. So it does become tough, especially the people that we look up to,
Yeah.
Some of them really aren't the most helpful when you need it. They don't want to share information as well. So it's tricky, but, you push through and just do better as a person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Back to what you were saying and your contribution being helping young women. In summary, what would the most ideal way to get into wardrobe be? So if you were to tell a 16-year-old who's just chosen their subjects at school, what would that path look like?
I think hone into your creativity, and it's not just limited to fashion. You can find inspiration in so many things, in art, in interior, in music, hone into your creativity more than anything. And I think then you should consider assisting maybe a fashion designer, approach them, intern, and learn from somebody that's in the industry. Even if you start off doing something totally different, you can always eventually get to the fashion side. But yeah, assisting fashion and wardrobe stylists is probably the best way to learn this industry. And I've seen so many people grow from just that interaction. So yeah, that, and you can go to school, of course.
Yeah.
Because school is cool. You can go to school. There's Lysoft, there's Spiro, Vilioti, there's UJ. I mean, there's so many schools. You just need to Google, because these kids are about the tech, so they probably know where exactly to go. But that, and look, with the internet, there's so many videos. There's YouTube. There's, you can Google anything now, and you'll find videos of how to sew or how to be a stylist, etc. And just start from that, and you can easily just gain those little nuggets and be able to branch into the actual industry. But yeah.
Thank you so much. How do people get a hold of Stage Fabrics?
So you guys can hit me up on @StageFabrics on Instagram or at Kari_Sekati. And I've also got a website, stagefabrics.squarespace.com.
Thank you so much. That was Kari Sekati of Stage Fabrics. Don't forget to follow us on African Couch Potato on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, goodbye and keep binging.